The recruits laughed, then froze, as the nurse they dismissed used one move that silenced them all and humbled their drill sergeant. Best version. For 16 weeks, she'd endured their relentless mockery about this soft civilian who had no business around real warriors. Until Master Sergeant Iron Mike Rodriguez decided to use her as his training dummy, expecting to demonstrate her weakness to 30 candidates. What happened next took 3 seconds and redefined every assumption about strength. Because sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one everyone assumes couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Before we dive into this incredible story, tell us in the comments which country you're watching from today. And if you believe that true strength often hides behind gentle appearances, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. We're honored to share these remarkable stories with you. They called her Cotton Ball Collins. Lieutenant Commander Dr. Rebecca Collins had been assigned to Naval Special Warfare Training Center for exactly 16 weeks, and in that time, she had become the most dismissed medical officer in the facility's recorded history. At 5 feet 2 inches with soft blonde curls that never seemed to maintain military bearing despite constant attention, and gentle blue eyes that appeared to register every harsh word and aggressive gesture, she moved through her duties with the kind of careful restraint that suggested someone afraid of provoking confrontation or drawing unwanted attention. Her medical credentials were technically impressive: Naval Medical School with distinction, emergency medicine residency at Johns Hopkins, advanced trauma surgery training that qualified her for the most demanding medical responsibilities in special warfare environments. But impressive academic achievements meant nothing when her daily performance suggested someone who had never encountered physical confrontation and seemed genuinely distressed by the aggressive culture that permeated every aspect of SEAL training. To the SEAL candidates in Class 322, Dr. Collins represented everything that seemed fundamentally incompatible with the warrior mentality they were developing through months of brutal physical and mental preparation. Where they demonstrated resilience and controlled aggression under extreme pressure, she appeared fragile and easily intimidated by routine training activities. Where they embraced physical confrontation as essential preparation for combat operations, she seemed to recoil from any form of aggressive interaction or physical challenge. Her assignment to BUD/S training had puzzled instructors from her first week at the facility. Most medical officers assigned to special warfare programs possessed some background with aggressive environments, demonstrated comfort with physical confrontation, or at least showed evidence of understanding the violent realities that characterized special operations preparation. Dr. Collins appeared to possess none of these essential qualifications and seemed actively uncomfortable with virtually every aspect of SEAL training that involved physical aggression or confrontational behavior. I cannot understand how someone that soft made it through basic military training, much less got assigned to support combat preparation. Petty Officer First Class Marcus Thompson had commented to his training partner, Seaman Wilson, during their 15th week. Watch her during hand-to-hand combat training. She positions herself as far from the action as humanly possible and still looks horrified by what she's observing. During physical conditioning that involves any kind of contact or aggressive behavior, she appears ready to flee the area entirely. I've never encountered a military officer who seemed so completely unsuited for environments involving physical confrontation or aggressive training. Thompson wasn't being deliberately malicious. As a former Army Rangers squad leader with multiple combat deployments, he had worked with numerous military medical personnel who understood that physical confrontation was inherent to military service. Dr. Collins seemed to represent something beyond ineffective, someone who appeared genuinely traumatized by basic military activities involving any form of physical confrontation. Her questions during briefings suggested someone encountering military combat training for the first time rather than someone who had completed officer training. In previous assignments, the candidates had noticed that her problems extended beyond normal adaptation challenges, involving fundamental military competencies that should have been developed during basic training. Petty Officer Second Class Martinez, who had received medical treatment from Dr. Collins, summed up the consensus. She's competent with medical procedures in controlled environments, but becomes visibly distressed when any physical training or confrontational elements are happening nearby. Most military medical officers can function during normal combat training. It's basic military preparation. The candidate's assessment of Dr. Collins wasn't motivated by malice or personal animosity, but by legitimate concerns about having medical support who appeared to be incapacitated by exactly the physical and confrontational conditions that defined their training environment and future operational requirements. SEAL operations involved physical confrontation, hand-to-hand combat, aggressive action, and confrontational situations that required medical personnel capable of maintaining professional competence under physically demanding and confrontational conditions. Having medical support who became distressed and non-functional during routine physical training and confrontational exercises raised serious questions about her ability to provide medical care during actual combat operations where her performance could affect mission success and personnel survival under life-threatening and physically demanding conditions. Master Chief Petty Officer Samuel Ironclad Johnson, who had been running SEAL training programs for over 34 years, had developed serious concerns about Dr. Collins's assignment. During their weekly coordination meetings, she demonstrated genuine anxiety responses to discussions about physical combat training and seemed overwhelmed by basic military concepts involving confrontation. Dr. Collins, Master Chief Johnson had said during their 14th week meeting, "You seem to be experiencing significant difficulty with activities involving physical contact, confrontation, or combat-related training. What's your previous experience with military assignments involving physical training or confrontational situations?" Dr. Collins's response revealed her apparent inexperience. "Master Chief, most of my medical experience has been in civilian hospital settings where physical confrontation was never part of medical practice. This is my first assignment involving extensive physical training and aggressive behavior. The confrontational aspects here are much more intense than anything I was prepared for during my basic military training." What Master Chief Johnson couldn't have understood was that Dr. Collins's apparent fragility wasn't evidence of civilian background. It was carefully constructed operational security designed to conceal specialized training in advanced close-quarters combat that exceeded what most military personnel encountered during their entire careers. Her reactions to physical confrontation and aggressive behavior weren't signs of inexperience or psychological problems. They were deliberate behavioral patterns designed to maintain operational security cover that protected ongoing classified programs where her medical expertise had been combined with combat training that exceeded what most special operations personnel ever achieved through their specialized instruction. The incident that would completely shatter these assumptions began during Class 322's 16th week with advanced hand-to-hand combat training. This phase of SEAL preparation was designed to prepare candidates for the kind of physical confrontations they might face during actual operations, testing their ability to neutralize threats through close-quarters combat when weapons weren't available, appropriate, or effective. The training was being conducted by Master Sergeant Michael "Iron Mike" Rodriguez, a decorated combat veteran with 15 years of close-quarters battle experience who had earned his reputation as one of the military's most feared and effective hand-to-hand combat instructors. His approach to combat training was aggressive, realistic, and designed to prepare candidates for the violent realities they would face during actual operations. Dr. Collins was positioned at her standard medical observation point, equipped with comprehensive emergency medical supplies and positioned to monitor the training activities for signs of injury, while maintaining her usual distance from the physical combat training that appeared to cause her such severe distress and anxiety responses. The combat training was proceeding normally, with candidates rotating through different techniques, while Master Sergeant Rodriguez demonstrated proper procedures and evaluated their performance on movement, technique execution, and effectiveness under pressure. His instruction was direct, aggressive, and focused on preparing candidates for real-world combat situations where their lives would depend on their ability to neutralize threats through physical confrontation. But as the training progressed, Master Sergeant Rodriguez became increasingly frustrated with what he perceived as the candidates' lack of aggressive attitude and insufficient commitment to the violent mindset required for effective close-quarters combat. His experience had taught him that successful combat required not just technical knowledge, but also the psychological willingness to inflict violence when necessary for survival and mission success. "You people are thinking too much and fighting too little," Master Sergeant Rodriguez announced to the candidates with obvious frustration. "Combat isn't a technical exercise. It's about imposing your will on someone who wants to kill you. You need to develop the mindset and aggressive attitude that will keep you alive when everything else fails. His criticism was designed to motivate the candidates to adopt more aggressive approaches to combat training. But his frustration was also influenced by his observation that the candidates seemed hesitant and overly cautious in their approach to physical confrontation. As Master Sergeant Rodriguez continued his instruction, his attention was drawn to Dr. Collins, who was observing the training from her medical station with her usual expression of discomfort and apparent distress at witnessing physical confrontation and aggressive behavior. Perfect example of what I'm talking about, Master Sergeant Rodriguez announced, pointing toward Dr. Collins. Look at your medical officer. She's terrified by what she's seeing because she doesn't understand that physical confrontation is a reality of military service. This is exactly the kind of soft, civilian mentality that will get you killed in combat. His comment was intended as a teaching tool to motivate the candidates, but it also reflected his genuine frustration with what he perceived as weakness and lack of aggressive mentality in the training environment. In his experience, successful military operations required personnel who could function effectively in violent, confrontational situations, and Dr. Collins represented everything that seemed incompatible with that requirement. The candidates responded to Master Sergeant Rodriguez's comment with the kind of knowing looks and suppressed laughter that suggested they agreed with his assessment of Dr. Collins as someone who represented civilian weakness rather than military capability. But Master Sergeant Rodriguez decided to use Dr. Collins as a more direct teaching tool, apparently believing that demonstrating combat techniques on someone who appeared completely unable to defend herself would provide valuable lessons about the importance of developing aggressive mindset and combat capabilities. Dr. Collins, Master Sergeant Rodriguez called out, "Come over here and help me demonstrate why combat training is necessary for military personnel." His request was delivered in the tone of a training order rather than a suggestion, and his intent was clearly to use her as a demonstration partner who would highlight the importance of combat training by serving as an example of someone without defensive capabilities. Dr. Collins appeared genuinely reluctant to participate, which was exactly the response Master Sergeant Rodriguez expected from someone with her apparent limitations and civilian mentality. Her hesitation reinforced his assessment that she represented the kind of weakness that had no place in military environments. "Come on, Dr. Collins," Master Sergeant Rodriguez insisted with growing impatience. "This will be educational for everyone. The candidates need to understand why combat training matters, and you'll help demonstrate the difference between someone who's prepared for physical confrontation and someone who isn't." The candidates gathered around with obvious anticipation, expecting to witness a demonstration that would confirm all their assumptions about Dr. Collins's weakness and unsuitability for military environments. They were prepared to see Master Sergeant Rodriguez easily control and dominate someone who appeared completely unable to defend herself. Dr. Collins approached the demonstration area with movements that appeared uncertain and reluctant, exactly as everyone expected from someone with her apparent limitations. Her body language suggested genuine anxiety about participating in any form of physical confrontation, and her overall demeanor confirmed everyone's expectations about her inability to handle aggressive situations. "This will be a basic demonstration of defensive positioning and control techniques," Master Sergeant Rodriguez announced to the candidates while positioning himself near Dr. Collins. "Pay attention to how someone without combat training responds to physical confrontation." What happened next would be remembered as one of the most dramatic reversals of expectations in military training history. Master Sergeant Rodriguez moved to initiate what he intended as a gentle but controlling demonstration of basic combat techniques, expecting to easily dominate someone who appeared completely defenseless and unable to offer any meaningful resistance to his superior size, strength, and extensive combat training. But the moment Master Sergeant Rodriguez made contact with Dr. Collins, everything changed in ways that challenged every assumption anyone had made about her capabilities, background, and fitness for military service. The transformation was instantaneous and complete. Dr. Collins's apparent anxiety and reluctance disappeared, replaced by cold tactical calculation and physical capability that no one had suspected she possessed. Her response to Master Sergeant Rodriguez's initiation was faster, more technical, and more effective than anything the candidates had witnessed during their extensive combat training. In one fluid motion that demonstrated expert knowledge of leverage, timing, and biomechanics, Dr. Collins executed a technique that rendered Master Sergeant Rodriguez's size and strength advantages completely irrelevant. Her movement was so precise and technically perfect that Master Sergeant Rodriguez found himself controlled and positioned exactly where she wanted him before he could process what was happening. The technique she employed was far beyond basic military combat training. It demonstrated understanding of advanced close-quarters combat that exceeded what most special operations personnel learned during their specialized instruction, and it was executed with the kind of muscle memory that could only be developed through years of intensive training and operational experience. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, with 15 years of combat experience and reputation as one of the military's most effective hand-to-hand combat instructors, found himself completely controlled by techniques that exceeded his own capabilities and training. His response was immediate and aggressive, drawing on his extensive combat experience to counter what he assumed was a momentary advantage gained through surprise. But Dr. Collins's follow-up techniques demonstrated that her initial success wasn't luck or surprise. It was the result of combat training that exceeded what Master Sergeant Rodriguez had encountered during his entire military career. Every technique he attempted was countered with methods that seemed to anticipate his responses and neutralize his capabilities before he could execute them effectively. The engagement was brief but decisive. Master Sergeant Rodriguez went from confident instructor demonstrating his superiority to controlled opponent unable to counter techniques that exceeded his own training and experience. Dr. Collins's execution was flawless, professional, and demonstrated combat capabilities that challenged everyone's understanding of what was possible through specialized military training. Demonstration complete. Dr. Collins announced with professional calm while maintaining control of Master Sergeant Rodriguez in a position that prevented any further aggressive action. The techniques demonstrated illustrate the importance of not underestimating opponents based on appearance or assumptions about their capabilities. The training area was completely silent. 30 SEAL candidates, multiple instructors, and Master Chief Johnson stood, frozen, staring at their fragile medical officer who had just demonstrated combat capabilities that exceeded those of one of the military's most respected hand-to-hand combat instructors. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, still controlled by techniques that prevented effective resistance, was experiencing the kind of shock that comes from having fundamental assumptions about capability and strength completely overturned by demonstration of superior skill and training. Dr. Collins, Master Sergeant Rodriguez, said carefully from his controlled position, "Where did you acquire those combat capabilities?" Dr. Collins maintained her professional control while responding, her demeanor having shifted from apparent anxiety to calm competence that suggested extensive experience with similar situations. Previous operational assignments required integration of medical expertise with specialized close-quarters combat capabilities, Master Sergeant. Her answer was professionally appropriate, but revealed nothing specific about the nature of those previous operational assignments or the extent of the specialized combat training they had required. But her demonstration had provided more information about her actual capabilities than any verbal explanation could have conveyed. As Dr. Collins released her control and Master Sergeant Rodriguez regained his footing, the truth about her background began to emerge through official channels and her willingness to share operational experience that explained both her exceptional combat capabilities and the operational security measures that had concealed them. Thompson, who had been most critical of Dr. Collins's apparent weakness and unsuitability for military service, approached with complete amazement and total reversal of his previous assessment of her capabilities and fitness for military environments. "Ma'am," Thompson said, his tone reflecting genuine awe and respect rather than the dismissive criticism that had characterized all his previous evaluations of her fitness for military service. "What kind of medical assignments required that level of combat training and close-quarters combat expertise?" Dr. Collins's response began to provide insight into military assignments and operational requirements that most personnel never encounter, even within the special operations community. Specialized medical personnel assigned to high-risk operations in hostile environments sometimes require capabilities that extend far beyond traditional healthcare training. She explained while demonstrating continued familiarity with combat techniques through her professional handling of the post-demonstration procedures. When medical officers are assigned to operations in denied territory or hostile environments where they may face physical confrontation, they must be capable of defending themselves and protecting their patients through advanced combat techniques. Wilson, who had witnessed the entire demonstration with growing understanding that Dr. Collins possessed capabilities that exceeded anything they had imagined possible, asked the question that everyone was thinking. Dr. Collins, what specific types of operations required the integration of medical training with advanced combat capabilities that could overcome experienced combat instructors? Dr. Collins's answer provided the first direct insight into operational assignments that explained her exceptional combat performance, while revealing why her apparent fragility during SEAL training had been operational security cover rather than actual limitation or psychological problems. Medical support for operations in denied territory where medical personnel operate without security support. Combat medicine during direct action missions where medical officers must defend patients and equipment, and specialized assignments where medical personnel function as complete operators rather than protected support staff. She replied while ensuring that Master Sergeant Rodriguez had not sustained any injuries during the demonstration. As the full extent of Dr. Collins's capabilities became apparent, the truth about her background began to emerge through official channels, and her willingness to share operational experience that explained both her exceptional combat capabilities and the comprehensive operational security measures that had concealed them throughout her assignment. The fragile, anxiety-ridden medical officer who had seemed completely unsuitable for any military assignment involving physical confrontation was revealed to be one of the military's most highly trained close-quarters combat specialists whose assignments had included some of the most dangerous operations in denied territory where medical personnel functioned as complete tactical operators. Her apparent fragility and overwhelming anxiety about physical confrontation hadn't been evidence of civilian background or psychological problems. They had been operational security measures designed to conceal specialized capabilities and operational experience that couldn't be revealed without compromising ongoing classified programs, where medical personnel operated with combat training that exceeded what most special operations personnel achieved. The assignments I supported, Dr. Collins explained to the candidates and instructors after her demonstration had revealed her true capabilities, required medical personnel who could operate independently in hostile environments where physical confrontation was inevitable and where traditional security support was not available. Medical officers assigned to these missions must be capable of defending themselves, their patients, and their equipment through advanced combat techniques while maintaining their primary medical responsibilities. Her operational background included assignments with the most classified special operations units where her medical expertise had been combined with combat training that exceeded what most military personnel received, advanced close-quarters combat instruction, and independent operational capability in denied territory where medical personnel functioned as complete operators with full tactical competence. Her struggles during SEAL training had been carefully constructed operational security measures designed to conceal capabilities and experience that could have compromised ongoing operations if revealed through routine observation or service record review. The fragility and anxiety that had made her appear unsuitable for military service were professional cover for operational experience that included some of the military's most demanding combat assignments. The candidates quickly learned that Dr. Collins's combination of medical expertise, advanced combat capabilities, and tactical competence provided learning opportunities that exceeded anything available through conventional training methods. Her understanding of human anatomy enhanced her combat techniques, while her combat experience informed her medical practice in ways that created superior capabilities in both areas. What I learned during my operational assignments, Dr. Collins explained to the fascinated candidates, is that medical personnel assigned to high-risk operations must be capable of functioning as complete tactical operators whose medical expertise enhances rather than limits their combat effectiveness. When you're providing medical support during operations in denied territory, you're simultaneously a trauma surgeon, a tactical operator, and a close-quarters combat specialist whose success depends on integrating all these capabilities seamlessly under extreme operational stress. Her training scenarios included combat medicine during close-quarters combat situations, tactical decision-making when medical and combat requirements conflict, and decision-making exercises where medical and combat responsibilities had to be balanced under conditions that challenged even the most experienced special operations personnel. Thompson, who had initially dismissed Dr. Collins as completely unsuitable for any military service, became one of her most interested and respectful students. "Ma'am, your integration of medical and combat capabilities under extreme stress has completely revolutionized how I think about special operations medicine. You've demonstrated that medical personnel can possess combat capabilities that exceed what conventional operators achieve through their training." Wilson, who had tried to be charitable about Dr. Collins's apparent struggles, was particularly influenced by her perspective on operational security and the importance of concealing advanced capabilities when necessary for mission protection and program security. "Dr. Collins, your experience has taught me that exceptional capability can be concealed for legitimate operational security reasons, and that personnel who appear least suitable for military service may actually possess the most advanced training and operational experience available in the military." Master Sergeant Rodriguez, who had experienced firsthand the superior nature of Dr. Collins's combat capabilities, became one of her most respectful advocates within the instructor community. "Dr. Collins has demonstrated combat techniques that exceed what I learned during 15 years of military service. Her capabilities represent integration of medical and combat training that creates superior operational effectiveness." The story of Cotton Ball Collins, who controlled and dominated a master combat instructor in 3 seconds, became legendary throughout the special operations community, shared as an example of how operational security can completely mask the most advanced military capabilities and how assumptions about weakness can be strategically valuable for concealing exceptional operational capabilities. Master Chief Johnson, who had questioned Dr. Collins's fitness for any military assignment, found himself incorporating her combat demonstration into training discussions about operational security, personnel assessment, and the importance of understanding that apparent limitations can be professional cover for the most advanced capabilities available in the military. "The most important lesson you can learn from today," he told the candidates after Dr. Collins's demonstration, "is that the most advanced military capabilities are often concealed behind operational security measures that make personnel appear completely unsuitable for military service. Never assume that apparent weakness indicates actual capability, especially when operational security requires concealing the most specialized training and operational experience." Years later, when Dr. Collins transitioned to other assignments, her legacy lived on in enhanced training programs that addressed both the development of integrated medical and combat capabilities and the importance of operational security in protecting specialized personnel and classified programs. Her 3-second demonstration had lasted only moments, but its impact continued for years, reminding everyone that the most capable personnel are often those whose true abilities remain concealed until circumstances require them to demonstrate why assumptions can be fatal and why the person who appears weakest may actually be the most dangerous in the room. The laughter that had filled the SEAL training facility was replaced by respect that resonated throughout the special operations community, as everyone realized that the person they had dismissed as fragile had actually possessed capabilities that exceeded their own and had demonstrated combat competence that redefined their understanding of integrated medical and combat training. Have you ever witnessed someone completely overturn expectations by revealing capabilities that challenged every assumption you had made about their background and abilities? Tell us in the comments about moments when apparent weakness transformed into demonstrated strength in ways that humbled even the most experienced professionals. And if you believe that true capability often remains hidden until circumstances demand its revelation, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. Every story reminds us that the people who appear weakest may be exactly the ones with the most to teach us about strength, preparation, and the strategic value of operational security. We'll see you in the next story where we'll discover another incredible tale of hidden expertise and the moment when carefully maintained appearances give way to life-changing demonstrations of extraordinary capability.